After 8 years working as a corporate lawyer, Willin Low decided to pursue his true passion, one he shares with many Singaporeans: food. Now he owns 6 restaurants along with his employees. My name is Neil Moore, and in this edition of Canon Think Big, I'm going to find out how he turned his passion into his career, starting in his kitchen. Thank you so much for inviting us to your beautiful home today, and I guess this is where it all started. Tell me a little bit about your cooking career before it became your real career.
Well, you know, this is the kitchen that I was never allowed to cook in when I was a child because my mother refused to let me mess up the kitchen. So what happened was when I went to the UK to study, that was the first time I started cooking because the food in the halls of residence was just atrocious, and I've always been a fussy eater. In order to survive, I had no choice but to cook.
I see. I hope that's not a comment on British food, by the way.
Just the halls of residence, not British food in general.
So at university you were cooking out of necessity, but when you came back to Singapore, what kept you going? Why did you decide to continue with that?
I was working as a lawyer and hours were long, and really I enjoy cooking. So cooking was sort of a way to de-stress, and every weekend I would sort of invite about 8 friends over, and I would entertain at home. I would cook dinner for them, and it was fun because when I was studying in the UK, I would cook food that reminded me of home, like home-cooked food. But when I was in Singapore, there was no need to do that, so I started cooking things that were more fancy, and that's how it all started.
So I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs watching this who would like to turn their hobby into their career. You managed to do that. You managed to commercialise what you were doing. Tell us a bit about how you did that.
Right. So one of the things I read somewhere was that to be taken seriously for anything you do, you have to charge money for it. And so instead of just cooking for free for my friends, you know, a friend had a housewarming party and he said, "Would you come cook for us?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, if you pay me for it." Another friend said, "Oh, I can do a website for you." And he did a website for me, and we started telling people about it. And the first people who came to the housewarming party started engaging me for other cooking events at their homes. And it grew from there, and Mondays to Fridays I worked as a lawyer, and Saturdays and Sundays I became a chef for hire. And my colleagues were lawyers who would double out as my waitresses. It was a hobby that paid for itself. I obviously couldn't pay the waitresses because they were lawyers.
But you always wanted to have your own restaurant. So what did you do next to sort of prepare yourself for that step?
Everyone was going, you know, you should open your own restaurant. And I knew that it was going to be very different cooking for, say, 100 people every day versus cooking for 10 people once a week. I quit my job and convinced an Italian restaurant to hire me as a kitchen help. I remember one Saturday night, it was crazy service time, chaos everywhere, and you know, and in the midst of that, I had a revelation like, wow, I'm enjoying this. This is really cool. It's like I was a different person altogether, and I thought, yeah, I could do this for a living.
But you went from being, you know, a high-flying corporate lawyer to being a kitchen hand. Was that not a real? Did you not find that difficult?
Yeah, it was difficult, but in order to gain experience, you know, I had to start somewhere, and it didn't bother me that I was going to start right from the bottom because it was something that I needed to do.
What I'm hearing is that in preparation for your dream of being a restaurateur, first you commercialised your own hobby and put a value on it.
Yep.
And then you actually took the brave step of going into a kitchen and preparing yourself and gaining the experience necessary to take that next step. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.